Hey, what's up guys, Joshua Boost here and welcome back to another Digimon gameplay video. Today another match from locals. It's me piloting Examon with some spicy text deck profiles up on the channel against my friend Edwin piloting Blackwargreymon. This matchup is, I would say it is favorable for Examon just because Blackwargreymon is one of those decks that builds one single stack. And that's exactly the type of deck that Examon really excels against. However, Blackwargreymon does have access to the D-Digivolve mechanic, which is pretty strong against Examon, of course. So, no, it's not super one-sided, I want to say. I definitely think Blackwargreymon can win this matchup. However, I would say Examon is pretty favored. I did win a Roar here, setting up the Modoki Betamon, and then going into the Dracomon. And we actually started with a memory boost here. Probably digging for the promo Agumon, because that's the rookie one we're building up right. So definitely think that play is correct, even though at this moment, or at least next year, you won't be able to pop the boost because the Modoki is going to come out. However, like, it isn't hard for the Blackwargreymon deck to get rid of the Modoki Betamon, right? So with, for example, either Ultras mode or, at this moment, the dual color Metalgreymon. So you will most likely be able to use it later on in the game. He puts me to 2. I decided to just swing with the Dracomon actually, and I hit into win rate here, which it is nice to know he has it in hand. And I do actually end up evolving over the Modoki Beta and going into the Wingdramon. Just trying to remember why I did this. I think it is because I was going to have to put him to a lot of memory anyway. So if I did that, he would be able to go into the Metalgreymon regardless and still keep turn. I'm pretty sure. And then he could just, of course, get rid of the Modoki anyway and continue playing. So I think that was the reasoning behind it. It's been a while since the game was actually played and, between me commentating it, so I can't remember exactly. However, I do have quite a little bit of setup here. If I do have access to the Groundramon now, I will be able to go into Examon, but first I'm just going to do some more chip damage. With the Dracomon, it does get deleted this time. And Edwin now will be able to go to 3 every turn, as well as he has the win rate, which we know, so it's important to play around that. And I just go into the Slayerdramon in the back here. I think it's because, I could promote it, but then if I force him to attack, he could just attack with the Agumon X antibody, right? I do get quite lucky here, he hits into the Ice Wall. But for now, it's looking quite good for for Metalgreymon, or Blackwargreymon, I should say. Even though he's still digging for pieces, I was about to say, he's probably looking for that level 5. I could now promote the Slayerdramon, run over the Agumon, and then just not do a second attack. And that would probably, it would put me like in a good game state, but it would be bad, I guess. It would get at least rid of the body, so attack and suspend. And actually I have to hard evolve to Examon here. Probably to get a blocker, to get the blocker inheritable under it. And now, if he does promote the Greymon, I can force him to attack. He will attack with the Agumon, then I can suspend the Greymon. And at least he won't be able to get rid of my Examon that way. I actually opt not to block, and I get super lucky here, and the Agumon actually hits into a Mega Death. I think there was no real reason to block. I didn't really want to suspend my guy, right? Because the Agumon would most likely get lead anyway, and I wanted to keep the evade effect for the Examon, but it really turned out super well here by, he hits the Mega Death, and then that allows me to bounce the Greymon to a hand, and now he won't be able to go into Greymon and then also use win rates to go into Metalgreymon to keep turn. Which he would have otherwise. Even though I could have suspended the... If I block with the Examon, but I couldn't have blocked because he would have de-digivolved it, but then I would have the Slayerdramon on field. Let's just keep it that it wasn't looking good for me, but then Mega Death happened, and then it was really looking good for me. Especially since now the Metalgreymon, it does out the Examon sort of, like the Examon leaves the field, but I still keep a level 6, and level 6 can actually run over the Metalgreymon and then unsuspend. And now I'm actually going to be able to hard play the Groundramon and end of turn DNA evolve into the Examon. And the Examon is going to play out another Slayerdramon here. So I already have 5 attacks basically for next turn, and my opponent is left with basically nothing, right? He has to start building and raising again. I guess he could try to build in front, but wouldn't really accomplish much, right? So yeah, he can just build up a stack here. And like, even if he wants to build up a stack, he has to play something in front as well. So he's going to hard play the Greymon here. Because the Examon is going to force him to attack if he does promote, right? But yeah, this is just going to be a game very likely. Something crazy has to be in security for this to not be game. Yeah, it's another boost, and that's just gonna be it. So not exactly the type of game you would expect. I'm showing off my securities like another Mega Div and Gaiomon as well, so pretty crazy. Would have been really rough for him anyway. And yeah, going to game 2, he's going to make me start, which is definitely correct, I think. Definitely think Blackwargreymon always wants to go second. Examon as well. You just really want to see more cards to get your parenthesis combo pieces. Going to Dragomon, then into Gaiomon, start building up a little stack in the back. And he's just going to do the same, I assume. He does start with Promo Agumon, which is definitely the card you want to start with. Now also going to Blackwargreymon, which isn't that relevant in this matchup, to be honest, because, you know, Examon actually suspends stuff anyway. Then he's going to boost, and his only option is the Blackwargreymon, so picks it up here. I'm just going to put him to 1 with Davis, adding... was it Break Dramon and Wing Dramon, I think? So we already have an entire potential stack. Edwin is just going to play down the Agumon here. I go to 3 because of Davis, and I really have to make use of the Davis now before it gets deleted by the Blackwargreymon, right? So I'm thinking here. Of course, promoting the stack is kind of risky, because it can get Digivolved and then... or can get de-Digivolved, I should say. So going to go into Wing Dramon. And then... I'm going to play the hard play in Madoki, put him to 3, which is definitely nice, because now... if he wants to go into the Blackwargreymon and get rid of the Madoki, he can, but it is going to be passing the turn to me and putting me to 3 essentially. So lose out on 2 memory. I guess he could go into the in the front. Potentially he could go evolve into a Greymon and then go into Blackwargreymon, but at least the Blackwargreymon pretty at risk, I guess. But I think it wouldn't have been bad to do that actually. Because even if I do hard play ground roll next turn and go into Examon, he would have two stacks, sort of. Or at least a potential build up into 2 stacks. So I don't think it would have been a bad play. Even though it is quite scary if you do have only access to 1 level 5, right? So yeah, I definitely think it was honestly fair enough to not do it. Going to go into Slayer Dramon there. And now it's looking really good for me, right? Now I could go into Examon, but then I put him to 5, and I definitely don't want to do that. Even with the Slayer Dramon on the field. Instead I'm just going to play the Madoki. And again, basically put him in the same position as last turn. However, this time I also have a Slayer Dramon, which can force him to attack. So it's going to be interesting to see if he decides to promote or not. He does decide to do so, which I definitely think is fair enough. Because it means he will actually be able to do something this turn. Going to force him to attack with the Blackwargreymon. I could potentially block with the Slayer Dramon, but I don't think there's a real reason to do it. So I think I'm going to do it, but in hindsight it was a misplay. I think because now if he did have access to something like Ultras mode into Blackwargreymon X, he could have outed my my stack, which would have been super rough. And now this is not so bad, right? He just gives me true free memory basically. And he does de-Digivolve my Wing Dramon and get rid of Madoki, but still have the other Madoki on the field. And I can just start rebuilding the stack. I'm pretty sure I had another Slayer Dramon as well. Which is going to be super clutch because he only has 1 stack on the field now. No option to go into a second one. So now this is definitely going to force him to attack and then I can block it. And it's just not strong enough to survive that battle. And at that point the game is pretty much over, I want to say. Really thinking about the player. Even though it's already looking really good for me. I'm just going to play Takumi to put him on the minimum amount of memory. And it will set up for some additional draws after this. Which is also nice. So I'm going to force him to attack and then block. And now he's just basically has to start from nothing again. He does have to promo Agumon though, which is nice. Going to the Blackwargreymon. Or, the inheritable Blackwargreymon. Going to Greymon X antibody. So he does have a lot of pieces already. Madoki's still forming a problem though. That card's so good, right? But he does find a memory tamer here, so finally the Madoki will... well, it's not like bad, but at least I won't be able to memory choke him at all anymore now. And I'm just going to do a little think here. If I evolve over the Dracomon, I'm going to get an additional draw, which is very nice. Go to Cordomon, draw. Yeah, tap Takumi, draw another card. And now if I do have Groundramon, that would be very, very strong. Even the game state how it is now, it's looking super favorable for me. It looks like I don't have access to the Groundramon, but I can just evolve up into Examon and put him into a nice tree. And then put... I'm gonna put Groundramon under the Examon, which makes it even... more scary for Blackwargreymon to move out his stack. Or even to play out a guy, right? If he does have to play a Surge Agumon, and now will get suspended and deleted by the Cordomon, for example, and then I also get the Treasure Security. Instead, he's going to just play Memory Boost here. Does he reveal 4 Agumon? Or 3 Agumon in like Alternate Mode, I think. He's going for the Agumon there. But like I said, if he plays it out, which maybe he has to, right? Maybe he does have access to level 5. That just means he's going to lose out the security, and he does pick up the level 5 pretty greedily there, so I would definitely say he didn't have access to it. And I just get to set up so much more now. Going to swing with the Exile and Suspend. Swing with 17, I'm pretty sure. And now the Cordomon can just walk over the Agumon and treasure the top of the security. I'm going to trash the hero, so that's nice. Not gonna swing with the Madoki, of course, because I do want to keep it on field to play against that red memory boost. And now I'm going to set up another Madoki in the back. Doing a little think there, and it looks like I'm going to evolve the Cordramon to another Wingdramon, just to get the draw and make use of the memory, right? And now I can play out like another 3-drop if I want to, and that would basically threaten game next turn, and honestly, he can't really move out this guy, right? Play out another Madoki. Because if he does promote the stack, I can just force it to attack with the Examon, and then block, and then he just has to start over again, and yeah, it's just looking kind of hopeless. This is kind of how this matchup will usually play out, I want to say. Even though Blackwargreymon can definitely, it has more consistency cards, so it can definitely set up fast an Examon sometime and just win the game through that. But this was definitely not that game. Like, once the Examon is on the field, it becomes so hard for the stack decks to win. Also, because even once you start playing out guys in the front, the Examon can just suspend them and walk over them. Yeah, and now I have so many attacks on field, right? I have, is it 6 attacks against 3 security, so definitely enough. And yeah, I'm just swinging for game here, and that's going to be it. So yeah, Examon OP, Big Dragon, GG.